Got it.
Five minutes to gavel. 5 minutes to gavel.
Okay.
Kathy, Rebecca is now here.
Okay. Can we go to the breakout room real quick?
Yes.
Okay.
Welcome, my fellow Toastmasters and honored guests, to our District 18 Evaluation Speech Contest. I will now call this contest to order. Please take a moment now to turn off notifications during the contest. All audience members will mute their microphones and turn off their webcams while a contestant is speaking. We will now go into a brief recess until the Chief Judge has returned to the main room. Zoom Master, will you please continue to show the slide set until the Chief Judge has returned? Thank you. Excellent. I see that our Chief Judge has now joined us for this evening. Once again, I would ask, please take a moment to make sure any notifications are turned off during the contest. That includes cell phones, those lovely little things that like to go ding, so as to not interrupt the other participants this evening. Allow me to introduce you to your contest master for this evening. He is a past district director and a distinguished Toastmaster, Mervyn Bierman.
Thank you, Madam PQD. Welcome to everyone. I'd like to begin with an overview of the evaluation speech contest procedures for the benefits of our newer members. In this contest, you will hear oral evaluations of a test speaker's speech. For the evaluation contest, the contestants will be located in a breakout room with the Sergeant at Arms. Contestants will re-enter the main room one at a time in speaking order predetermined during the contestant's briefing. In addition, no one is allowed to enter or leave the main room while a contestant is speaking. There will be 1 minute of silence after each contestant for the judges to mark their ballots. After the final contestant, I will ask for silence until the judges are finished submitting their ballots and we have received confirmation from the chief judge that we may proceed. The chief judge will collect the timing sheet and accompany the counters to the breakout room. Speakers, your video must capture facial expressions and gestures, and your voice must be clearly captured by the microphone. To eliminate any perception of bias, I will introduce each contestant in the same way. Contestant number, name, name. The speaking order has been chosen by a random number generator, and I'll announce that order now. You may want to mark your program with the contestant numbers. Speaker number 1, Ken Matos. Number 2, Joe Finn. Number 3, Vince Fazio. Number 4, Suzanne Laws. Number 5, Kendra Hawthorne. Allow me to repeat the speaking order one more time. Number 1, Ken Mathos. Number 2, Joe Finn. Number 3, Vince Fazio. Number 4, Suzanne Laws. Number 5, Kendra Hawthorne. I've confirmed that the contestants are all eligible to complete. A 5 to 7 minute test speech will be presented. The test speech must be a contest type speech or a product speech from the Toastmasters Pathway Learning Experience. Contestants who choose to make preparatory notes during the test speech must use the evaluation contest note sheet, item 1177. More than one sheet may be used. Neither the test speaker's project nor any objectives that the speaker may have can be made known to the contestants, chief judge, voting judge, tie-breaking judge, or the audience. Contestants may not use digital or other devices during the contest to gain an unfair advantage. Prior to announcing the results, the chair will announce if time disqualifications have occurred, but not the name of the contestants. The winners will not be announced tonight. The announcements will be given on Saturday during the conference. Protests based on eligibility, originality, and reference to other contestants' speech must be entered by the contestants or voting judges to either the chief judge or myself before the results are announced. Once the results are announced on Saturday, all decisions are final. Timers, will you please read the timing rules for the speech contest? Madam Timer.
The rules are the same as in any club meeting. The green card will be shown at 2 minutes, the yellow card at 2.5 minutes, and the red card at 3 minutes. The red will remain on the contestant, will remain on until the contestant concludes their speech. The contestant will be disqualified if they speak less than 1.5 minutes or more than 3.5 minutes. The time between contestants will be 1 minute and it will be timed. The time of 5 minutes between contestants who will be in the breakout room will be timed, as well as the test speaker, which is a 5 to 7 minute speech.
Thank you, Madam Timer. Chief Judge, have all the judges, timers, and ballot counters been briefed?
Mr. Contest Master, they have. Let the contest begin.
Ladies and gentlemen, please mute your microphones and turn off your video while I introduce our guest speaker. Our test speaker is actually fairly well known here in District 18, or he should be. Our test speaker tonight, Chad Welsh. Chad Welsh, letting in bugs, but no light. Letting in bugs, but no light. Chad Welsh.
Let me ask you a question. How many of these phrases are you familiar with? The early bird gets the worm. A rolling stone gathers no moss. Or my personal favorite, early to bed, early to rise. Fish like heck and make up lies. All of those things and others like them conjure up to us the importance of being proactive, not procrastinating, and being able to get her done. It reminds me of a story I heard before. A father was playing football with some of his kids and some of their friends outside their house. And the father kicks the football so well, it goes right through one of his basement windows. He walks over to inspect the damage. Well, he realizes he needs to do something to fix that window. So he cuts some cardboard and some boards and he duct taped them into that window. Well, not a permanent fix. It would hold for a while. See, the frame of the window had rusted shut and he knew he couldn't fix it. His plan was to upgrade to energy efficient windows throughout the whole house. But see, the cost was $15,000. This was a family of 7 living on a very tight and fixed budget. It was simply out of reach. Meanwhile, that boarded up window let in bugs, but no light. Over the next few days, he made a couple calls to various contractors. One contractor explained that the location of the window with the frame embedded in the foundation meant that whoever replaced it would need to chisel it out by hand. A very labor-intensive and expensive process. And there were 6 of those windows in the house. Honestly, the thought of that window nagged at him constantly. Every time he went downstairs into the pantry, it nagged at him. Every time he drove past the local hardware store, it nagged at him. Every time one of his kids would run up from the basement screaming, "Daddy, Daddy, there are bugs and spiders down there," it nagged at him. He knew he needed to address it, but he had built up the process and the price so much in his mind that it paralyzed him. Soon, days turned into weeks, which turned into months, which turned into years. Meanwhile, that boarded up window continued to let in bugs, but no light. Then his wife received a phone call and she was going to get a new job that paid a lot more, but it was going to require them to move. He knew a potential buyer couldn't get a loan on the property if there was a broken window. So he pulled the cardboard and the boards and the duct tape off. He was going to face that puppy head on. And it had been staring him in the face for at least 8 years by now. So he grabbed some trusted WD-40, sprayed all around the window, and did the most important thing next. Stretched out. He didn't want to pull anything. He said to himself, "I'm going to count to 3 and give this a huge tug. 1, 2, 3. Ah!" He pulled with all of his strength and might, a sight not seen since the days of Samson himself, and to his astonishment and delight, it moved for the first time in decades. He pulled the window out, took it down to the local hardware store. The entire fix cost him, get this, $12. He could have fixed the problem for $12 the same day it happened, but he let it haunt him for years. For years, shutting out light and letting in bugs. And when he finally fixed it, he fixed it for someone else when the house was empty. See, it didn't need to be the most glorious window ever made. It just simply needed to be a window. Nothing more, nothing less. I think many of us tend to live with broken windows of one type or another in our lives for years. I know I have. And everyone's broken windows are different, but they all seriously affect our quality of life. And we know they need work, but the actions to address them are too scary, too daunting, too dark. My father was a poet, and one of my favorite quotes of his is that the easy is what we dream of, the hard is what defines us. The easy is what we dream of, but the hard is what defines us. See, the easy would be to just keep ignoring the windows that need fixing in our lives and go around pretending all is well. The hard is to tackle that which we're afraid of. And while that first step can sure be scary and sometimes difficult, like our friend experienced with the window, many times we find out the process isn't as daunting as we were led to believe. But taking that first step, that can be scary and hard, but that is what defines us. So what window or windows in your life are letting in bugs but no light? I'll be honest with you. For me, that window is being proactive about my weight and my health. Recently, I've had a small heart attack. Another time I had a blood pressure reading of 244/160, and I ended up developing diverticulitis. I quickly came to realize my window was letting in bugs, but no light. So I took that first step. I recently obtained a nutritionist and a trainer. And I know it's going to be a long battle, but I took the first step. And I know in time, this hulka burning fudge body you see in front of you today will be a lean, mean, kale and broccoli shake, drink and dream. Okay, maybe I won't be drinking kale and broccoli shakes, but I'll be in better health. Look, don't blame yourself for dwelling on your broken windows. And please realize that some windows you can't fix by yourself. Don't be afraid to get the right help for the right window. You don't have to fix them all at once, but just focus on what needs to be done and go for it. So what do you say? Why don't you grab your shoes and begin with me a new journey of letting in lots of light, but no bugs. Sir Contest Master.
Hey, thank you so much, Jed. That was wonderful. Will all the contestants please return to the contestant breakout room? Madam Timer, would you be kind enough to put 5 minutes on the clock for me? And Madam Chief Judge, will you advise when all the contestants have gone back to the breakout room?
Okay, I think that would be up to the Zoom master. And I see one.
That's correct.
Sir, I do not see the request to go to the breakout room. There we go. Thank you.
And can the Zoom master confirm for me that everyone has gone back to the contest room?
Contest master, the 5 contestants and Sergeant at Arms are in the contest or in the breakout room.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Chad, bring you back on camera if we might. Chad, I haven't seen you since the 2021 District 18 International Contest, which, as I recall, you crushed me in.
I don't remember that, but that was a fun day. I'll say that.
What have you been up to this year?
Well, last year, I ended up losing my job, moved back to Nebraska for a while. And then in the start of the year, I took a new job. that brought me to Chicago. So I'm in the Big Onion, the Windy City right now, going through some training, become a project manager for a company called Sirius Computer Solutions. And this summer, my job will be bringing me back to Reston, Virginia. So I'll be doing a full 360 in about a whole year's term. So I'll be back in the area soon. Man, I'm looking forward to it, brother.
We look forward to your return. And that explains the almost inexplicable attachment to Nebraska football.
Absolutely. Yes. If you're born in Nebraska, you don't really have much of a choice. You are a Cornhusker, or you might get run out of the state if you're not. So yes,
Then
absolutely.
you end up in Kansas, and yeah,
Right.
you
And
know
that's a
how
whole other story.
we know how that works. I read that winery hopping is your hobby. I am vastly disappointed that I was not allowed to accompany you while you were here on your last winery hopping tour. When was that?
It's been a while. Last time I went out to some wineries was right before I left the DC area. And I just really enjoy hitting up the wineries, especially in Northern Virginia. So many great wineries out there, so many great reds, so many great whites. And it's just for me a great way to spend a Saturday, especially just hanging out at a winery, going to a couple of them, doing some wine tasting, having a little bit of food, listening to some live music. Man, that's the way to spend a Saturday, my brother.
There you go. What inspires you most? And you put down losing. What an interesting response.
It does. That for me, nothing drives me harder than when I lose. And whether I think I should have lost to that person, or whether or not I am driven to not lose to that person or that situation again. Whether it's a speech contest, whether it's when I used to coach softball, when I used to coach football, do whatever I can to prepare myself, my team, the people around me, because I like winning. I like winning, and that's my main thing. And my goal is to be the world champion of public speaking. So every time that I keep winning, when I lose, I'm driven to get better the next year and the next time. So that's why losing inspires me.
What a wonderful response. I enjoy that greatly. I also note that we've had a similar discussion before, and you were looking to further explore your Lakota heritage.
Correct.
I know with the lighting that I'm in right now, it doesn't look it, but I have a bit of Native American blood in myself.
Okay.
So little Sac and Fox.
Oh, Sac and Fox. Okay, it was just like Jim Thorpe was Sac and Fox. So I like
Exactly
that.
right.
Awesome.
Although he's a better athlete than I ever was.
He's a better athlete than most people ever could be. So absolutely.
If you had the opportunity to provide some advice to a brand new Toastmaster when it came to competing in a contest, what would you say?
I would say practice, practice, practice. That is the biggest thing. Get involved and just start practicing, getting in front of your mirror and practice wherever, whether that's in the shower, whether that's on your commute, whether that's when you're out walking, exercising. Just practice. Get in front of other people. Maybe your job, I've been fortunate in my job here, they've actually let me give a couple speeches to my colleagues and to some people around. So I've had a chance to get in front of some people who aren't Toastmasters as well and do it. So just get out there and do it. Just practice, get involved. Don't stop until you've reached that top.
Thank you, Chad. I see we've reached the end of our allotted time, but it is always a pleasure to speak to you. And I look forward to your return to the East Coast, where
Thank
we
you very
can talk bad about Kansas football.
That sounds good. And we'll hit up some wineries too, brother.
You talked me into it, you smooth talking devil. Thank you again. Ladies and gentlemen, if we can have our first contestant back. Okay. Speaker number 1, Ken Mathos. Ken Mathos.
Chad, the objective of your speech was to tell us a story, and that was a wonderful story. I love personal stories because it's like an emotional glue that connects your audience to the speaker, and they are memorable. That was a great speech. Welcome, contest chair, fellow Toastmasters guests, and especially Chad. Chad, there were many great things on your speech, but I'm going to mention a couple of things. First is the title. You actually piqued my interest, letting in bugs, but no light. As Toastmasters, sometimes we don't realize the importance of a title. Did you know in 2016, our very own District 18 world champion, Aaron Beverly, in his first attempt at the championship, had the longest title that included 57 words. Imagine that. Great choice in your title. The other thing I really enjoyed was your conclusion. You had a call to action. You grabbed my attention. Not only that, and I don't see this very often, is that you had a prop with it as well. When you said, grab the shoes and begin a new journey, and you had your sneakers. Well done. That was excellent. There are a couple of things to improve your speech that I like to mention. And one of them tonight would have been a solid white background, like using a wall, something to that effect, or a curtain, because there were many distractions, unfortunately, with such a great speech. To the left of you, you had the window that we could look outside, and there were many cars whizzing back and forth, which was a little bit distracting. Then, unfortunately, on the right of you, you had the maintenance worker that happened to be walking by. So there was distractions on the left and the right, which is unfortunate. Therefore, a solid white background will eliminate that in the future. The other thing I noticed was that you were pretty much standing still. So as a speaker, I would like to see you move around a little bit more, maybe to the left or to the right. You did move forward and back. But as you're telling your story, one approach could be going from the left side and going to the right as you continue with your story there. But to summarize it, I thought your strength was your title and your conclusion, two very important factors that you taught us here tonight. To improve on that will be your background and maybe using the stage area a little bit more. Overall, though, you did an excellent job. And I would like to actually see you take this speech and use it in international contests, probably next year. But great job, Chad. I appreciate it. Contest Master.
Thank you. Madam Timer, may I have 1 minute of silence for the judges to mark their ballots?
Mr. Contest Master, that has been 1 minute.
Thank you, Madam Timer. Contestant number 2, Joe Finn. Joe Finn, please spell your first name for an audio and video check.
Joe, J-O-E, Joe.
Thank you. Please pin the timer. Judges, please pin the contestant.
And I pin the timer by,
Ladies and gentlemen, contestant number 2, Joe Finn. Joe Finn.
the easy we dream of. The hard is what defines us. Mr. Contest Chair, my fellow Toastmasters, distinguished guests, and especially Chad, what a wonderful speech you gave us. That speech really got me inspired. And Chad, I want to go over 3 things that you did today that I thought really made that speech pop and be effective. The first, you managed to tell a story that was both personal to you and to us in the audience. I wasn't sure where that story was going until I realized that you'd be able to use that story as an analogy. This poor fella spent 8 years putting up with the bugs and the cold. It only cost him $12 to fix. How often have we done that? We've all been there. What a great story and a great message for us. And the second thing, did you notice Chad's energy today? I've seen a lot of Toastmasters speeches that had nowhere near that amount of energy. And in the end of the day, the message is really important. But if it's not brought home with terrific energy, it's not going to really work. Chad, your energy today was beautiful. And the third thing, you used a wonderfully effective technique of starting with a question. Do you know any of these old sayings? And then at the end of your speech, you brought us back to the question, where is your broken window? When you ask us a question, you make us think, and you very effectively wrap those 2 questions to frame the rest of your speech, just like a skilled Toastmaster. Great job. Chad, your message today was very simple. Don't blame yourself for the fact that there's a broken window or for the fact you haven't fixed it. Just take the courage to step forward and fix it. A powerful message for us today. Your mechanics, your vocal variety, it was great. Your projection, it was great. Your eye contact, really, really good. Chad, your mechanics were down so smoothly that I could tell you had done a wonderful job of rehearsing this speech. Improvement. If you give this speech again, how can we make it an even better speech? I offer you, Chad, 3 suggestions. The first, let's put a little bit more of you into this speech. In an international speech contest, you're going to need that. They're going to want to see you sharing you with us. So let's try to compact the rest of your speech a little bit so you've got more room to expand on your own challenges. Secondly, the positives of if we do tackle the big obstacle in our life, make that really a part of your powerful conclusion, the message of what you want us to go do. Have the guts to do it. And third, maybe just a little bit fewer gestures. There were a lot of gestures and maybe not too many times where you just put your hands at your side, making you look calm and professional. But overall, Chad, you told a story that was personal to you and to us. You had a great message delivered with terrific energy, and you wrapped your questions carefully at beginning and end. I can't wait to hear you speak again. Mr. Contest Master.
Thank you. Speaker number 3. I apologize. Madam Timer, may I have 1 minute of silence for the judges to mark their ballots?
Mervin, I'm here.
Thank you. Just a moment, please. Thank you, Madam Timer. Vince Fazio, would you please spell your first name as an audio and video check?
Vince.
Thank you. Please pin the timer. Judges, please pin the contestant. Contestant number 3, Vince Fazio. Vince Fazio.
Mr. Contest Master, fellow Toastmasters, welcome guests, and especially Chad. Letting in bugs, but no light. An inspirational story to call your audience to action. Chad, you did a fantastic job this evening. For my evaluation, I'd like to tell you what I thought you excelled at, what you could work on, and how to really challenge yourself next time. Starting off with what you excelled at. First, you did an awesome job connecting with the audience. Immediately, I felt this warmth radiating from you. I think it was because you smiled throughout your entire speech, and that really gave me comfort sitting and listening to your message. At the end of your speech, you also showed vulnerability by talking about some of the challenges you've been going through personally, which also helps to connect with us and, again, build that rapport. Second, you gave us something to walk away with. You gave us a message to think about, and you gave us tips for how we can improve in our own life. Finally, you used hand gestures purposefully, for example, the chisel, and with intent. I didn't notice any extraneous hand gestures. One thing I think you could work on for next time. I would suggest centering yourself in the frame. I could see from about your chest up. If maybe you stepped back a little bit or moved the camera, we could see more of your body, perhaps from the waist up. And instead of just using your hands during your speech, you could use your whole body to really get your message across. For example, when you talked about exercising, maybe give us a little demonstration of that. Just showing us a little bit more, I think, would go a long way. It would also allow you to use more of the stage instead of being stuck and planted in one particular place. Last, to challenge yourself, I would suggest beginning with a stronger introduction. You listed a lot of different quotes, asking us if we had heard about them, but perhaps instead maybe ask us, what have you been procrastinating in your life? And then pause. Give the audience time to think about that. Use the power of the pause. That, I think, will help all of us connect even more to your message. Chad, once again, great job this evening. Thank you so much. And I'm going to go take care of something that I've been procrastinating. Mr. Contest Master.
All right. And thank you. Madam Timer, may I have 1 minute of silence for the judges to mark their ballots?
Mr. Contest Master, that has been 1 minute.
Thank you. Contestant number 4, Suzanne Laws. Suzanne, are you there?
I am here.
There we are. Would you please spell your first name as an audio and video check?
Susanne.
Thank you. Would you please pin the timer? Judges, please pin the contestant. Contestant number 4, Suzanne Laws. Suzanne Laws.
Chad Welsh, letting in bugs, but no light. Chad, I am privileged to be able to shed some light on your speech today. And so I'm going to use a virtual flashlight. And I invite you to follow along with me as I look at a few aspects of your speech. First of all, Chad, your speech was incredibly relatable. I love the generous vulnerability with which you shared your life story. And I know that came later in your speech, but I thought it was very compelling. You use strong and self-deprecating humor, which is always, again, a great audience pull, and it just attaches us to you. One thing, Chad, I think I would recommend, and I'm going to shine my flashlight on, is perhaps opening with a little bit stronger of a question to the audience, such as, do you have a broken window? What keeps you from fixing that window? The second point I want to shine my light on, Chad, is your word usage and the economy of words. The metaphors used in the beginning were just a tad confusing, Chad. I would suggest perhaps cutting down the number of words throughout your entire story of the window so that you can focus more upon your life story and lift up your own personal story, shine more light on that story. Hard is what defines us. Love that you gave us a big takeaway there, and I wrote it down. It's a great takeaway, Chad. You used great words like daunting and scary, and what I would do is I would put some more emphasis on those types of words because they have weight and they're impactful. So daunting and scary, things like that, Chad, would be very effective. And the third thing, Chad, is you need to exploit this platform. You are very expressive, and two things. One is use more eye contact because your eyes were shifting to the side and it made me feel like you were a little unsure. So if you could make more eye contact with the camera, I would buy in even more. It would shine more light on your story. I want to see that awesome bulk of fudge that we talked about. So move that camera up a little more so that we can see more of you because you have so much to offer, and we want to get the bugs out of your speech. And last but not least, Chad, emphasize light. You gave us a heavy topic, and so lift us up with light and shine more light, and we will, as an audience, praise you and thank you and rejoice with you over a well-done speech. Looking forward to more from you, Chad, Mr. Contest Master.
Thank you. Madam Timer, may I have 1 minute silence while the judges mark their ballots?
Mr. Contest Master, that has been 1 minute.
Thank you. Contestant number 5, Kendra Hawthorne. Kendra, are you there?
Yes.
There we are. Kendra, could you spell your first name as an audio and video check?
Yes, thank you, contest master. Name is Kendra, Kendra, Henthorne, Henthorne.
Thank you. Would you please pin the timer? Judges, please pin the contestant.
Is this timer 1?
Yes, that is correct.
Pin timer 1. Okay.
Judges, please pin the contestant. Contestant number 5, Kendra Henthorne. Kendra Henthorne.
Thank you, contest master. Fellow Toastmasters and guests. Chad, in the next few minutes, I will be providing you positive but constructive feedback, incorporating evidence and examples to note what you excelled at in your speech, provide suggestions for any improvement, and conclude with my final observations. Today, I enjoyed your humorous and storytelling speech because you excel at developing an introduction, asking questions to captivate the audience, including a rhyme in there to make and stimulate our brains. But ultimately, your introduction was absolutely wonderful because you started your speech and incorporated in your speech a smile all throughout. And that was really appreciative. I appreciate that because I got to witness the enjoyment of you delivering your speech. You appeared at ease, displaying poise and confidence throughout the speech. Gestures. You had iconic gestures. Iconic gestures is a representation of something you're speaking about, such as the fishing rod and reeling it in, or the chisel all through the roof. Additionally, you have metamorphic gestures. Metamorphic gestures is an actual physical object that represents what you're speaking. Hence, the black and white shoes that you lifted up towards the end of your speech. I would suggest in your gestures just a little more to keep the story going. You had stated that there was a tiny budget to build the house. Well, it could have been a little teeny tiny budget. Your vocality was so expressive, such as, Daddy, there are bugs down there. What a wonderful way to tell a story. And you also sprayed the windows with WD-40. Loved it. It was like a kindergarten teacher reading me a book. And your clarity was very clear and very resonant. I heard every word. And your volume was perfect here in the virtual environment. For vocality, you were very expressive, but also, in addition to that, I saw appropriate pauses and observed that when a pause occurred, it allowed us to sit and think about what you had just said and ready to move on to the next. Your eye contact was absolutely appropriate here in this virtual environment. Thank you for sharing your personal window of letting bugs in with no light. Your analogy of a broken window to tackle what we are afraid of, but to take that first scary step. A favorite passionate author of mine once said, I've learned that people will forget what you said, will forget what you did, but will never forget how you made them feel. You made me feel scared to take a step, but appreciative. I enjoyed your unforgettable speech this evening, Chad. Back to you, contest master.
Thank you. Madam Timer, may I have silence until the Chief Judge states that all the ballots have been collected?
Mr. Contest Master, I'm going to ask all of the judges, timers, and ballot counters to move to the judges' breakout room.
Timers, judges, and ballot counters, please make sure you move to the judges' room.
Judge 1, please note you should see a pop-up to move. If you're having issues, text chat to myself or the contest master directly. Contest chair directly. Contest master, ballot counters 1, 2, the judges, all the judges and appropriate functionaries are in the breakout room.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, now we go on to the really hard part of the contest. That's the table topics portion, where I get to ask the contestants questions. I also would like to note that my background lasted exactly the length of the contest. Ken, are you still there?
Yes.
Ken, can you tell us how long you've been with Toastmasters and what club you're representing this evening?
Yeah, I've been with Toastmasters a little over 6 years now. I have a dual membership and I recently joined Club Navigator. So I'm representing that club in Virginia, Winchester, Virginia this evening.
Well, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Joe Finn, are you still here?
Yes, sir, I am.
Oh, and I apologize. I should have mentioned all the contestants, please come on camera. I apologize. I should have said that.
No
Joe,
worries.
how long have you been with Toastmasters and which club are you representing?
So I'm representing Catonsville Toastmasters, a club I love being in. And I first started actually back in 1986. I completed my CTM and dropped out in 1987 or 88. And I came back in 2009, 20 years later.
Recycling. That's always important.
Yeah.
Let me see. Vince, there you are. Vince, how long have you been with Toastmasters and what club are you representing tonight?
Good evening. I am representing Greater Newark Area Toastmasters Club, Division A, Area 12. And I've been in Toastmasters since 2010.
Oh my. Well, congratulations. Suzanne, how long have you been with Toastmasters and what club are you representing tonight?
Well, good evening. I've been with Toastmasters almost about 4.5 years. So from 2017, I am representing DelDOT, which stands for Delaware Department of Transportation, Toastmasters Club in Dover, Delaware, and that's Division G.
Yay.
Yay.
And last but not least, Kendra, how long have you been with Toastmasters and who are you representing this evening?
Thank you. I am a baby to Toastmasters. I've only been in Toastmasters since April of 2021. So it's been exactly a year. And I am representing the wonderful SSA Toastmasters 2884 Club in Baltimore, Maryland, Division F.
Well, thank you. And thank all of you for participating in this contest. You've obviously won several times just to get here. So there you're all winners in my book.
Thank you.
It's just getting to district is a challenge some of us have struggled with over the years. Let's explore a bit more about some of our speakers. Ken, says here your notable accomplishment is the Ironman challenge. Would you like to talk about that for just a moment?
Sure. Well, actually, due to COVID, had a little bit more time and teleworking, and I decided to sign up for Ironman in Chattanooga, which was a big challenge considering I'm not the type of person who runs to begin with. So the challenge there with the Ironman is that it's a little over 2 miles of an open water swim, and then you have to bike 116 miles, and then after that, you have to run a marathon. Needless to say, the water current was perfect timing for the swim in Chattanooga in the river. That actually did one of my fastest swim, and believe me, I needed that time for when I got to the run. So I had an hour carried over. The bike was okay. Unfortunately, what happened there was that the weather wasn't as hot. Therefore, I didn't really drink all my water bottles and electrolytes. That being said, the minute I took a step to run, I cramped up, and I didn't even think I was going to make a mile. But it was a long night, and eventually I crossed close to midnight, and the race started about 8 o'clock in the morning. But I can now officially say I'm an Ironman, and I did it.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
I'd like it noted that I could probably swim 2 miles being towed, and I can do the bike downhill. There's going to have to be something really big chasing me to run that marathon. Joe, says here that your most notable accomplishment.
What did I write down?
You're working on it.
Oh,
It's a more open-ended achievement I have never read before.
obviously, I was in a hurry when I wrote that one down. I would say my most notable accomplishment is I married Mary McGee. Anybody would like to be married to her, but I managed to get her done.
Mm-hmm. Yay. What is your goal now in Toastmasters?
That's a great question. I would say that my goal in Toastmasters when I started was to become a better speaker, but now the longer that I'm in it, the more my goal is to help other speakers, especially the ones who join our club, to become better speakers. We're all mighty nervous about speaking when we join, and who doesn't have the shakes when you're giving your icebreaker speech, but you work past that and you realize, hey, now I've learned a few things I can share with this person. So I would say encouraging, the new Toastmasters is probably the thing that gives me the most pleasure. That's not a goal, I guess, exactly, but it's kind of a nice reason to stay in the club, right?
Exactly. Vince, I read that you're a big fan of do-it-yourself projects, sort of like hang the curtain behind me. Would you like to speak to that just a little bit?
Sure. I've always liked to do things around the house ever since I was young. My grandfather was a carpenter, so it's just something that always interests me. And especially during the pandemic, I dreamed up a lot of different projects to do around here, much like a lot of other people I heard about. I would say one of my most interesting and challenging projects at home was trying to put a patio in the backyard. Bit off a little bit more than I can chew, but eventually it got done. I learned a lot from it, and now I'll be better at it next time.
Marvelous. And in your copious spare time, we need to talk about a doggy door.
Oh,
I need to install a doggy door, but that we'll touch on that momentarily.
okay.
Suzanne, your interests are beach time books. The Beach Time Read. What is the Beach Time Read of 2022?
Oh my goodness.
No pressure.
Considering the fact that I have like 4 books going right now, that's going to be a tough one to answer. I do love to read though. And it's a funny thing because when I was a kid, reading was like the last thing I wanted to do. But later in life, maybe I was too ADHD to read when I was a kid, but now I love it. It's just reading I learn so much. It's my comfort. It's what makes me sleepy at night. And I cannot get enough of stacking up books in my house right now.
Yes,
I just picked up 2 more at the library yesterday.
Reading to get sleepy. I know a couple authors that do that for me. Yeah, just got. Anyway, I find that some of my most favorite authors have only been dead for 50 years, so
Right.
their productivity is ramped off pretty quick after that. But thank you for that, Kendra. 8 years active duty. Yay!
Yeah, thank you.
Active duty USAF. Yay! I spent a little time in the chair force myself, so I can get away with that. So one of the things that I always that I repeat from my military service is the opportunity to work outside of your comfort zone.
Mhm.
What was it you had an opportunity to do that made you uncomfortable going in?
Oh, that's a wonderful question, especially in regards to the military career I did for 8 years. So the job that I did in the military was very broad, right? It wasn't a mechanic, it wasn't a pilot, it was literally called personnel, right? And that literally means administrative anything and everything, from promoting to retirements to what I found really scary, which I'm about to tell you, but also found incredibly rewarding. And if I could have done it longer, I would have. And that was casualty reporting. I did casualty reporting, where we would find out about somebody passing away at war or at home. And those things that you see in the movie where you see the commander go to the door and knock on the door to inform the next of kin that their loved ones passed away, there is a process behind that. There is a way and a script and a process behind sending out those commanders. And I was part of that team who would have to call the commander in, brief them in a very high level of what happened. You can only state certain amount of things, right? But it wasn't just, that is the part that I found rewarding, because after sending out the commander, I had to work with the next of kin. That was the hardest thing, to work with that sad, sorrowful family going through so much and having to sit there and talk about benefits and how you want to proceed with your funeral. So that was incredibly hard, incredibly uncomfortable, but talk about having to have composure and put your face on in front of a difficult situation. That was hard. That was really challenging.
Well, thank you for that. Interestingly enough, my most challenging assignment in the Air Force was commanding a basically we called it a death detail.
Yeah.
At a burial. That was.
Yes.
I was more uncomfortable doing that than just about anything else I did in my career. I want to thank you all for this opportunity to get to know you all just a little bit better. But now I get to turn this back over to our contest chair and ask that everyone come on to your video, join in celebrating these truly marvelous speakers. Madam Contest Chair.
Thank you so much, Contest Master. It has been a joy to watch everyone compete this evening. And thank you to all who tuned in on YouTube to watch your fellow Toastmasters compete and hopefully get to know a little bit more about them. As a reminder, we are not announcing the winners this evening. The winners will be announced for all three of our contests at the district level at our spring conference on Saturday. So please don't forget to register. Also, don't forget, tomorrow night is our international speech contest. Even if you are not able to attend the entire conference and would just like to watch the live stream on YouTube, it'll only cost you $10 and you will get to be front and center for all of the action. With that, I thank you all again for being here and I call this contest concluded.
Madam Contest Chair, just one moment for everybody that helped us tonight. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And for those of you who are on the schedule for helping tomorrow, judges briefing is at 6:30. Thank you.
Have a good night.
Can I ask one question?
Sure.
Were
Just
we-
one moment.